guy who, he does everything he can for our community where it comes to raising the awareness of need for blood. And plus, he's pretty good with the youth of our community, too, as a coach and a mentor. Galen Udall from Life South Georgia. Galen, it's just a great day to be alive in Ocala, Florida on a Thursday morning.
Well, except for the temperature, I get my car at 36 degrees and there's frost on my windshield, Tom. Other than that, I would completely agree with that. And you know what? You mentioned all the people moving in. I have seen, and I travel these roadways a lot. I-75, I-95, I'm all over. I have seen more license plates from Illinois in the last 3 to 4 months than probably the last 4 to 5 years. I don't know what's going on.
They're getting out of Chicago. I don't know if you know this or not, but they're shooting people in Chicago.
Well, again, this is all anecdotal, but there are a ton of people coming down here. I don't know if it's for vacation or just to take off your stupid mask or what, but they are flocking to the Florida area right now.
They really are.
You know what? And I'll give you another piece that's really, really interesting. And again, college admissions is something I've been following for the last few years since my first son went through it. You know, admissions in the state of Florida are way up for people from out of state. And what's fascinating is these, so-called Ivy League schools and these schools in the Northeast that people look at with reverence is way down. Because, one, they're still not sure if their child's going to be able to get in-person learning, and those cities are still on lockdown. So if you're a student and you really have the choices to go wherever you want, why in the world would you not want to go to the number 5 ranked school in the country?
The number 5 ranked public university in the country.
Or Florida State or a Miami, right? Or a UCF that's getting all this publicity? Or would you rather go to Boston College? Or even applicants in the history of Georgia Tech, and they had the lowest acceptance rate that Georgia Tech's ever had. Their average SAT was 1510.
By the way, 1600 for those that don't know, 1600's perfect.
and my son got a 1430, and Georgia Tech was like, that would be cool if I got in, but he didn't get in. He's got a 1430, a 4.8 on a 5.0 scale. I mean, and he didn't even get a whiff. And he had a friend who had a 1560 from out of state that didn't get into Georgia Tech. And again, I just think it shows that the elites are like, we've got to. I think they now understand we've got to get our kids, because they do care about their kids. They don't care about your kids. They care about their own kids. And they are no longer going to be sending their kids into these blockaded schools with masks. And again, I think the world is smartening up to these lockdowns and these mandates. And I think they're looking at Florida and going, you said they were all going to die. It looks like they've handled this better than everybody, right? They looked at Switzerland and said, all you people in Switzerland are just going to die. You're idiots, right? You're not following the science. And maybe we were. Maybe we're smarter than the hillbilly act that you think we are, right?
All I know is the governor reopened the state 7 weeks after the world shut down. We've been open ever since then and prospering. That's all I know. We're prospering in the state of Florida, and people are seeing that, and people are wanting to be a part of it instead of sitting at home and watching their savings get eat up because they don't have any viable options of work or stuff during the pandemic, and they want to come to a place where they can actually go into the office instead of telecommunicate stuff. There's a lot of opportunities in Florida that have been offered just because our governor said no.
Right. Well, and go back and read some of the articles when DeSantis said, you know what, I'm not going to make a mask mandate in schools. We're not going to do it. Right? Go back and you look at the counties and just do this. Compare the counties that kept the mask mandates. The Alachuas, the Miami-Dades, parts of Broward did it.
Orange.
Right? And Orange. And then Orange kind of did it. And then you compare those same stats with the with the spread of COVID to those that didn't. There's no difference, by the way, right? You could not differentiate, and if you just randomly just put the numbers out there, percentage-wise, the spread, you could not tell the difference as to who had the mask mandate in schools and who didn't. But what I can tell you, the biggest impact of this year is that when DeSantis said we're not going to do this tracing, because, I talked to a school administrator, and he said, Galen, you have no idea hours we were putting on to find out how, if one kid got COVID, and how we were trying to pull out, the 10 kids around him. We were spending
But then
hours
those
of
10
that,
kids,
you
got those 10 kids around him. Then you got the families of those 10 kids. Then the workplaces of the families of those 10 kids.
Absolutely, it was despicable.
It was like you were getting an Amway in the 1970s.
Correct. And there were a lot of decisions that DeSantis did that were very good, but I think that was the best one because it didn't disrupt the classroom. You've been a teacher, Tom. You know how much routine matters to kids.
Yes.
Right? You've got kids have to know what to expect. They have to know when they're supposed to be places. Everybody loves routine. Whether you deny it or not, everybody needs it. And that disruption that it had, some days you'd walk into school and the kid be gone for 10 days. They're like, what happened to them? And then next thing you're out for 10 days. There's no connection. And when DeSantis changed that, it changed the school. And I don't agree with everything he's done, but those two decisions right there, the mask mandate, keeping schools open, and not doing that trace testing, changed our society for the better.
Speaking of keeping open or not keeping open, when we come back from break, there's a place closed that is causing a whole lot of problems, and it looks like that it may bleed into Super Bowl Sunday. We'll talk about that next.
I love this.
We'll talk about that next with Galen Unall from Life South.
Freedom reign.
Brought to you by the good folks at Penn Flooring, Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, and JustShip.net. We'll be right back after this short timeout.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
New arrivals and new savings are waiting for you at Blockers Furniture. With over 80,000 square feet of the best selection and best prices you can find on furniture, mattresses, home accents, accessories, and more. And with new trucks arriving weekly, Blockers has the best available in-stock selection. Unlike many other furniture companies that will have you waiting for months to get what you want or need, come see everything that Blockers has to offer. Blockers Furniture, 2402 Southwest College Road, next to Hobby Lobby.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Thursday. Look, if you're trying to get into Detroit, Michigan via Windsor, Canada, well, you got to take a detour down to the Huron Bridge. You can't go in through the Windsor Bridge. It's blocked off by truckers on the Canadian side, so you got to take a detour down to the Huron Bridge. But the problem is the backup to the Huron Bridge is stretching almost 18 miles. It's taken 6 to 7 hours to take that detour. If you work in Huron, if you live in Huron and you're trying to get into the U.S. because you work in the U.S., that's taken forever. The Canadian truckers in their peaceful protest have shut down the entryway to one of the largest entryways to Canada and the U.S. 25% of all commerce that comes across the border between the Canadian and the U.S. come across the border at Windsor, Canada, and Detroit, Michigan. That is closed down on the Canadian side. Galen, who has been touting and following this story for the better part of a week and a half. It came on my radar a couple days ago because of Galen, but it's now on the world's radar because it's starting to shut down car manufacturing in Windsor, Canada, and in the U.S. as car manufacturers are running out of car parts. And now, Galen, I hear there's a U.S. solidarity movement that's going to show solidarity with the Canadian truckers, that they may start this Sunday in Los Angeles and shut down the roadways and all around the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. This story is all of a sudden taking on world importance.
Well, and this is, by the way, this whole trucker convoy started because the Canadian government, who and Trudeau had been weeks and weeks have been touting how, these truckers in Canada are real heroes, right? And then he turned them into absolute villains. He called them Nazis, right? I want to be very clear. I hate that word. When you call somebody a Nazi, there really is no coming back. He called them Nazis and occupiers. And these truckers in Ottawa, they said, we're going to Ottawa because we're going to do a peaceful protest. And they did, and the media and the political party in Canada did everything they could to slander these people. And all they did was sit there, right? They didn't, and blow their horns. So what does Ottawa do? They make it illegal to blow your horn in the city limits of Ottawa. They pulled an 80-year-old man out of his truck for blowing his horn. And they got it on video. And again, when you do a peaceful protest like this, and you are right, the will of the people will follow. I firmly believe it. And those images of those truckers just sitting there, they're not doing anything wrong. They tried to call the military in. The military's like, we're not touching this. They tried to call in these big heavy-duty tow trucks. There's 1,000 trucks parked in Ottawa.
Right.
And the tow truck company's like, we're not getting involved in that. We are not doing that. I don't care if we have a contract with you or not. We're not doing it. And so now Trudeau finally comes back to Ottawa to do an emergency session, and now you see all these liberals up in Canada going, hey, maybe we should pull these restrictions back. Maybe we should lift all these mandates. And if you love freedom, Canada, and by the way, Canada is not free. Anybody who says that Canada is free,
it's not free, and it's very expensive. And it's very expensive.
Right. They've been lying to themselves. And because of these truckers, some Canadians are getting some of their freedoms back. And this motion, because everybody can identify, these are just guys trying to feed their family. They are the epitome of the middle class, right? They work hard, they do their job, and they're just going from A to B carrying stuff that we need. And I love it. And now there's movement that's going through to Detroit. They're going to be in Washington, D.C. for the State of the Union. The National Guard is already preparing and trying to figure out how to stop them from coming in, right? And if they do that, now we're going to have an even bigger issue because now you won't be able to travel.
Wait, hold on. Maybe I missed something in this story. Maybe I didn't read it close enough or anything. But you're saying the National Guard is now trying to come up with plans to shut off the Capitol in the freest country on the face of the earth, in a country who prides itself on its individual freedoms. They're trying to shut off the seat of that government to all the taxpayers. The National Guard's trying to do this so that trucks can't come disrupt Washington, D.C.?
Absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And the word that I heard from a really person who I know, he was like, there could be 25,000 trucks. Just think about that. 25,000 semi-trucks in Washington, D.C. for the State of the Union. And by the way, it's all about the mandates, right? It's all about these freedoms and what this administration has done for to stop trucking and to stop the movement, whether it's the fuel prices, whether it's these ridiculous EPA
$4.29 a gallon, by the way.
There's a lot behind this, and you take trucks out of the supply chain. Guess what?
What supply chain?
There is no supply.
What supply chain?
And I know there's going to be a show of solidarity at the Super Bowl, according to my buddy. I've known this guy a long time. I've never seen him this fired up about anything. And I mean anything, and we go way back to high school. Never talked to him with this much passion. He's kind of a subdued dude. He said, Galen, these Canadians have showed us what we're capable of. And he goes, we have lobbying groups, and he's a part of that. He said, but now it's down to the truckers and their trucks. And these are owner-operators, right? So if you look at the trucks, these aren't the people who, own 50 trucks.
Right. We're not talking about Swift and Mayflower, people like that.
R&L. Right?
We're talking about owner-operators, a guy that owns his own truck, gets his own loads, figures out how to get his independent loads. One day he may be carrying fruit. The next day he may be carrying furniture. The third day he may be carrying work items that need to be worked on bridges throughout the country.
And that's the backbone of the trucking industry, is those independent operators. And they're the ones that can't fight it, right? These large trucking companies, they can kind of swallow some of this. And what part of what the Biden administration is trying to do is unionize truckers, right? That's one. The truckers they have a representative group, but they're not unionized, and they don't want to be unionized because if you unionize them, then they understand the impact of that. That means they're going to be able to travel less. They're talking about putting mileage caps per year on truckers. There's a lot that this administration is doing against the trucking industry, and by the way, if there's 25,000 trucks at D.C. during the presidential speech, goodbye. I mean that I guarantee you, even Nancy Pelosi will bend at the knee to that many truckers.
Well, I know that if 25,000,
she can't get her ice cream.
I know if
right?
25,000 trucks, if 25,000 trucks come off the road to go to Washington D.C., that'll severely hurt the supply lines.
Are parked in the streets of Washington.
I don't know that 25,000 trucks can park in the streets of Washington D.C.
Think about that. Just think about if they took out
they'll be parked in Alexandria. They'll be packed around the Pentagon. They won't be. They can't park. They can't get enough on K, L, and M streets.
Correct. Imagine that though, and that's what they're talking about. So the National Guard is already they're talking about putting up postings so that each truck that comes through is inspected. And they're going to make sure that they're not preparing to do this. Again, it's going to have to be peaceful. And, it's amazing that what happened at CHOP in Seattle with those occupations and at Wall Street was touted by the media as, look at these people speaking power.
But now a trucker does it, and they're not destroying property. There's no police station been set on fire. There's none of that happening, and they're being vilified. Where these kids, these protesters, these looters, these criminals, went in Portland and Seattle and Occupy Wall Street. They burnt things. They destroyed property. They destroyed federal buildings. Oh, that was all in peaceful protest.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, they paid their bail fund. But in Ottawa, if you were caught giving gas or aid to a trucker, they called it a felony offense, and they arrested you. Think about that. Giving a trucker diesel fuel for his truck became a crime in Ottawa last week. Think about that.
The one that got me was you couldn't blow your horn. The blowing your horn. Could you imagine how many people would be arrested on a minute by minute basis in New York City if they said it was illegal to blow horns?
But again, this is all because these elites, you know, and we talk about them all the time. And I do think there's some nefarious. I don't like government. I don't like people in power. I think we have to speak to that power. We have to check it. And I've been saying for the very beginning of this pandemic, I said at some point we're going to have to rise up and take our freedoms back. And I am so proud of these truckers that they found a way to do it peacefully. Nobody's being hurt, right? Not a single shot has been fired.
Nope.
But these truckers are ending COVID.
The Ambassador Bridge has been closed for 3 days, which is the bridge that connects Windsor to Detroit. The Blue Water Bridge in Huron is backed up in astronomical amounts. And by the way, now, early this morning, it broke on the AP wire that France has made it illegal in France.
But again, this is what's going to have to happen, right? Okay, and again, go back to the civil rights movement. What changed? You know,
sit-ins,
no
peaceful protests where you couldn't use bridges. Peaceful protests is where the busing system shut down.
And therefore, it impacted the economy of these elites.
Yep.
That's what, and I get it. It's kind of different, but in a lot of ways it's not, because at the core, it's still our rights as a human being, right? We all should have a right to earn a living, and to do that without someone telling me what I need to do in my own personal space of a truck. These people are by themselves for 7, 8, 9. They don't see another person.
We have to actually go and pay some bills right now to make sure we can stay open to talk about these things. We'll be right back with more with Galen.
You guys educate yourself on this, because it's incredibly important what's going on.
Coming up next, right here on WOCA, The Source.
Ocala International Airport. This is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
Adding to the Russia-Ukraine tension,